From Wickham to Whitley Bay, Stonygate to Shields, Doggy to Darlow Backlane. Steve and Rye, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Fellas, we've got footy to talk about.
Thank God for that.
Hey. None of this Poncy England stuff. None of this Poncy, I was going to say Wembley, but they haven't been at home. You know, none of that sort of focus on down south, the rest of the country. For the for the good of the Three Lions, or the Thistle in one of our cases. You know, it's all to do with Borough, Sunderland, Newcastle. My God, I've missed it.
Yeah, me too, mate. Me too. It's a big weekend for Newcastle, of course. Brentford at home. Can they stop the rot? Hopefully, Newcastle United back to winning ways before that Champions League expeditions begin next week. But looking forward to it. What's coming up with Sunderland, Macca?
2 away games in the space of a week. A trip down to London on Saturday, and then back, and then a trip to Blackburn, who are Middlesbrough's opponents tomorrow. We go to Blackburn on Wednesday.
And you do know what the best part of travelling down to London to see a game is, don't you, Macca?
I don't.
Getting out and coming home. That's the best part of it. Right, you've got footy, mate. You've got footy.
I can't wait, mate. Michael Carrick presser yesterday. Middlesbrough are back trying to stop the rot. We've got a couple of games in the Championship, and then we go to our Champions League. Carabao Cup, sorry, slip of the tongue there, Steve. And try and beat Bradford, a.k.a. PSG, and off we go.
Magnificent.
Happy days.
Yeah, and we've sold out our allocation for our European trip to Yorkshire.
All the away days, all sold by the Middlesbrough fans, always getting around. And we always are packing out there's literally, there's no seats available for Blackburn or Sheffield Wednesday. And then Bradford's obviously been already allocated as well. So Borough fans travelling in full voice, hoping that Middlesbrough can get back on the points.
Who needs Milan? Who needs Milan when you can do Lancashire, Yorkshire? We can do it all.
Yes, Champions League next week. Cannot wait, lads. But we'll keep that. We'll keep that till next week. We'll keep the bragging rights till next week.
There's going to be some. There's going to be some bragging rights out there. Oh my God! I think I'll take a week off.
Yeah, I'll be practicing me Italian singing for next week. Having a couple of cornettos when we start the show. Yeah, you name it. I'll be doing it next week, lads. In the name of the Champions League. Looking forward to it.
Tell you what, mate. We'll have you by the Baltic Centre in a boat on the Tyne, with a cornetto in your hand, standing up, singing just one cornetto, mate. We'll get it sorted.
Perfect stuff. Perfect stuff. Do you want to start with some new?
Do you want to start with some new to get to any of the games?
Yes, well, obviously season ticket holder. All my Champions League games are sorted. I've got filming coming up though. I've got a busy period of filming coming up over the next 6 weeks, mate. Another film which I can't speak about was coming up, and we've got. I'm away on location for 3 weeks, so looking forward to that. That's just been agreed this week. So yeah, it's difficult for me to get to away games as much as I would like to, but the home games cannot wait, mate.
Hope you're still going to be on the show, mind you.
Of course, mate. Yeah. I can go roving around, mate.
Live
and
from Hollywood. That's it. I can see that. I can see the line there.
With Tom Cruise in the background.
From Hollywood. Yeah. Great. Love it.
Looking forward to it. Do you want some news headlines from Newcastle, and lads?
Let's get into it.
All right, local lad Sean Longstaff is likely to get his first start of the season when Newcastle United take on Brentford tomorrow at St James's Park. The 25-year-old midfielder came off the bench in each of the Magpies' 4 league games so far. After 3 successive defeats, Eddie Howe was looking to tweak the midfield with either Joe Linton or Sandro Tonali making way for Longstaff. Howe has used the same midfield 3 of Bruno, Joe Linton and Tonali so far this season. St James's Park could be a potential destination for one-away Manchester United star Jadon Sancho. The 23-year-old has a public fallout with Eric Ten Hag, and many believe the England winger's Old Trafford stint is over. Sancho is certainly on Newcastle United's radar, and according to the Daily Mail, a move to Tyneside would benefit the player. He joined Manchester United from Borussia Dortmund in July 2021 for the hefty sum of £73 million. And former Newcastle United player John Joe Shelby is moving to Turkey. The 31-year-old midfielder left Newcastle for Nottingham Forest in January. 8 months later, he's now going to play for newly promoted Kayseri Rizespor in the Turkish Super League. That's all from St James's Park.
Where next? Shall we go to the Stade de Loom? That's Stadium of Lightmaker.
Tony Mowbray is looking forward to seeing Robson, our new signing. He's fast, he's direct, according to Tony Mowbray, and he's exciting. And also, Sunderland are one of 19 stadiums to be trialling maybe and getting 5G technology for home games. Hopefully that'll improve the phone signal, because it's dreadful. So yeah, that's not a lot from Sunderland, unfortunately. That's it.
Okay, mate. And then Rye, the Borough.
Up to the Borough. And the first word here is struggling, Middlesbrough, so thank you for that. But Middlesbrough are back on the road. Well, minus the struggling. Without a win in 5 league matches, Borough head to Lancashire to take on Blackburn Rovers on Saturday for a 3 p.m. kickoff. It'll be another tough match for Michael Carrick and his team. Unlike Borough, Blackburn have made a solid start, winning 2 and drawing 1 in 5. And the two sides met last at Ewood, drawing 1 in... Sorry, when the two sides met last at Ewood Park back in December, Borough won 2-1 thanks to goals from Marcus Force and the GOAT, Riley McGree. What a goal that was. Forward Force could also make his return at Ewood. The 24-year-old missed Borough's defeat against QPR earlier this month due to an injury and was also out of the Finnish squad during the international break. Carrick confirmed yesterday at his presser that Force is back in training and is likely to feature against Rovers. Force is one of the only 3 players to have scored for Middlesbrough this season, so it'll be good to have him available. Carrick also shared his delight at the return of driven and positive Matt Clark. The 26-year-old defender resumed training after a nagging back injury which kept him out of action since last October. However, the manager stressed the need for patience. Clark joined Borough in the summer of 2022 and has only made 6 appearances so far.
Interesting. I mean, you'd have loved.
Ewood.
Oh, go on. Sorry, mate. Go on. Go.
Ewood, I'm excited. I mean, obviously, Borough fans will have memories of it last season, where we saw Buckley do a cheeky elbow to the GOAT Riley McGree. I can't believe it. Yeah. So obviously, and then he threw the ball at Riley, did he? And got red carded for it. So and then Riley come back to score a stunner. So excited, and hopefully we can have some memories just like that.
No such shenanigans this time. He's out on loan at Sheffield Wednesday, so he won't. He won't do the same.
He won't be throwing the ball.
I was just going to say on Andy Campbell's Red Army show on the Red yesterday evening. I know we had a Sunderland fan watching. You would have loved it, right? Because Andy Campbell sat there and he went, "I just cannot, for the life of me, not see Riley McGree starting at Blackburn."
Yes.
You know, he said it would be
I completely agree.
It would be a bigger surprise to him if the likes of O'Brien and Hayden Hackney didn't started. It would be, sorry, get this right. It's far too early in the morning for the math to work. It would be a bigger surprise if McGree didn't start than if O'Brien or Hackney didn't start. So they were the words of former Borough striker Andy Campbell.
He even said Rye was mad as a box of frogs.
Yeah, Rye's mad as a box of frogs, he said on his show.
Box of quite frogs, like that. Is that a compliment, or is it?
It's a compliment. It's an English loving way of saying he loves you, mate. That's what it is. Yeah.
Well, I do. I love speaking to Andy. It was an amazing chat, and we'll happily talk Borough with Andy any day of the week. I really did appreciate that chat, and I completely agree with Andy. You absolute legend. Riley needs to start this weekend. He featured 90 minutes for Socceroos. He's pulled up okay. He's texted me personally and said, "Hey, Ry, how you doing? Have you spoken to Michael?" I said, "Look, I have. I've told Michael that Cardigan's on the line again. You either play him or I'll pull a thread in your cardigan, Michael." And he said, "Right, no worries." So hoping that Riley gets to start and show his worth in that team, because I think he's worth it. For me, I'd like to see the new signings in Lewis O'Brien start, especially, and also Alex Bangura could be in line for his debut after signing on deadline day, the new left back as well. Yeah. I think Engel's done well down at the Borough, but I just think there's a bit more flair and pace in Bangura that we could use and exploit. So hopefully the Borough have all settled in with their new signings, Sam Greenwood, Lewis O'Brien and Bangura, the late deadline day signings, and we can get a point or at least a win. You know what I mean? So that's all we're after.
I love the way we've borified this already, but so we better do a little bit of in the news.
Is there other teams?
Yeah,
there's other teams. That's right. Yeah, gotcha. Sorry.
Begrudgingly, we have to accept that. The one that leapt off the page from the news headlines to me, Steve, you were touching on it regarding Sancho, Newcastle interest. Would you have him? Would you have him?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because again, Newcastle's got a squad which is at the moment being built up. And we're looking at Champions League, European football, whatever, season in, season out. At the moment, I would say no. I mean, he's a cracking player, but his attitude and the way that he's conducted himself in this argument with Ten Hag, does that fit Newcastle's dressing room? I'm not sure. There's no doubt the kid's very is technically minded. He's a great player, but I just don't know whether you want another disruptive influence coming into our dressing room. It would be something which would make the team a bit lopsided, and I don't know whether that's going to work. I mean, it's the Daily Mail and Craig Hope who've written the story. They're saying that it would be a good fit because other people are saying it's a good fit, but I don't know. I mean, Ten Hag's come out this morning and more or less said, look, he wants an apology from Sancho. So is that going to go down well with Sancho and his representatives? Is he going to come out and apologise? It's becoming a very messy affair. We had Melly, the Manchester United fan, on earlier this week, and it's just got to be embarrassment for Manchester United. But I guess as a player, he would enhance the squad. But it's off the pitch antics. And
do you think Newcastle are really interested in Sancho? Or do you think?
No.
I mean, Hope is normally quite reliable, or do you think he's just trying to get a story?
Craig Hope is a reliable journalist as far as Newcastle United's concerned. He has had some fairly good, exclusives. I guess he's come up with stories which have proved to be true. It's a link, isn't it? It's a story where somebody has said, or people have said, Sancho would probably benefit coming to Newcastle working under Eddie Howe, and he's ran the story. There's no substance in it. It's not a direct quote from Eddie Howe or Amanda Staveley and Mia Gadusi saying would love to sign Sancho. It's really just it's a story. It's a story for story's sake. I just genuinely can't see him coming to Newcastle. I mean, £73 million was his fee, as was said in the headlines.
Yeah, true.
And Newcastle's financial fair play situation is something we all know about. Manchester United would want to recoup that kind of money. If you wanted to get him out of the club, and push him out of the club, he would have done so in the transfer window. I think he's happy for him to sit there. I mean, the problem with Manchester United as well is that Ten Hag's the coach. He's not making these decisions with players. Manchester United and the succession of big managers over the last 10 years have all had to deal with one thing, and that's the Glazers, just plonking players in the dressing room and saying get on with it. And Ten Hag's a victim of the same. He's got Harry Maguire sitting there who's never going to get a game under his stewardship unless he has a defensive crisis, and he doesn't want to use him, he doesn't want to play him, and he would love to have shifted him in the summer and brought some much needed money into the coffers for Manchester United and allow him to spend that on players, and it's not happened. And it's the same with Sancho. So he's got like such an expensive team in reserve that he's never going to play. And again, there's only one thing seems to happen at Manchester United when we get to a situation like this, and it's the manager ends up being the fall guy. He'll lose his job at some point, Ten Hag, because he just, which big name manager enjoys working in that kind of position? Nobody,
no one.
Just look at the list of names. Ten Hag, Van Gaal, Mourinho. They've all had a degree of success. I'd love the degree of success some of those managers have had at. If we had one of those trophies coming into our cabinet, it would be great. But that's deemed as failure at Manchester United because the benchmark's Fergie and what he did.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, I don't know if you agree with this, Steve, or not, but because Newcastle, I say it through gritted teeth, have got Champions League football, then I think you'll get linked with absolutely everyone that, if they have a fallout at their club or they're going to leave their club, I think Newcastle will get linked with everyone.
Well, we did it on NUFC Matters. We did one of our guys, Barry Hogan. We set him a task at the start of the transfer window in the summer to do a spreadsheet of players that Newcastle were linked with. Now, bearing in mind, we didn't sign anywhere near as many as this. We were linked with 282 players in the transfer window.
Wow. You could afford them all, though, Steve.
Some of them were good.
17 minutes in.
Yeah.
I love 17 minutes.
Mbappe was one of them for starters. I mean, that would have got us in some serious bother with financial fair play. But that just tells you that you are right, Macca. That tells you the level that Newcastle United are at, and literally we are just linked with anybody and everybody, and already the season's into its next stage. We've had the first international break. We're into the autumn, and Newcastle's being linked already with players, and I mean it is like the silly season, but that's what the media the media relies on. They need these kind of stories to keep the clickbait, to keep journalists in a job, and some of it'll have substance, some of it'll be from the agents, and some of it will be will be genuine. And it's going to make for an interesting couple of months, all the speculation. But Sancho to Newcastle, which is what we're talking about, I'm not sure that that's ever going to materialise. I think the player's got a decision to make now, because with Ten Hag coming out and saying you need to apologise, he's going to have to look at it. He's going to have to look at his own personal circumstance, because when you're not playing, it affects your international opportunities. You've got the Euros on the horizon. He needs to sort this out.
And the management style, I mean, the comparison of the management style, you mentioned two United bosses there, Ten Hag, current, Ferguson, obviously the most well-known. Ashley Young has come out and done a piece talking about his time under the management of Sir Alex Ferguson. And he actually admitted to 10 years further down the line, since Ferguson's retirement, he still lives in fear of the old gaffer. I mean, that's what a different style of management. I know we've been there before. We've discussed this because we didn't have an awful lot to talk about the last 10 days. But you just can't imagine the same nonsense going on with Sancho at Old Trafford if Fergie was still the boss. You can't.
No, you can't. And I think, I think honestly, and I know we talk about it and we laugh at the money, I honestly think Sancho would probably benefit of someone like Eddie Howe's character, because I think it's literally a man management thing with these young players. And I think Sir Alex was probably one of the best that went and did it. Arsene Wenger as well springs to mind, but it was the old heads. And it was, when you've got a gaffer that's probably of age, has been there, done that, and I think they just command respect when they walk into a room from these young kids. It's Sir Alex Ferguson. Do you know what I mean? It's something that the players, when he's talking, would shut up and listen. And when you've got Ten Hag and I guess the unproven younger managers, it's up to them to sort of prove themselves to the playing group that they're that they can take the group forward, rather than sort of, I guess, demanding their attention. I think if anyone, this day and age was to have Sir Alex in a room, you'd shut up and listen. Do you know what I mean? But I differ if it was Ten Hag or something like that. And I think obviously the younger generation are probably kind of clicking onto that, especially when you're not winning as well.
I think Ten Hag's obviously wants an apology, because on social media Sancho went out and said he was made a scapegoat for a long time, and I mean, it's not going to benefit him now, is it? Because he's now training away from the first team. He was refused to attend training with Ten Hag and the team, and I mean that in itself, tells you where we're at. It's a clash of egos. Ten Hag's not prepared to back down. He doesn't want his authority to be challenged.
No.
And Sancho, I can't see Sancho at this moment anyway apologising. And he will be speaking to his agents, and he will be being advised by his agents. It's a clash of two huge egos, and it's an absolute nightmare for Manchester United, because they could do with him. He's a winger. He's a great winger, and ultimately, any links that he's had with moves away have collapsed. He was linked with a move to Saudi Arabia, I think, which would have been ideal, just to go on loan for a period of time, let the dust settle, see whether anything could be sorted out. But just a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare for the player, for the manager, and for the football club.
And I think the concerning thing from a footballing and a Manchester United perspective, not that I'm concerned about Manchester United, they're not my team, far from it, though we have nicked a few players in the past, Brian Robson, Clayton Blackmore et al. But will Sancho, if ever this rift was healed between him and Ten Hag, would Sancho ever put in a decent shift for Ten Hag again? If he did work his way back to the first team, is he going to give his all when that real crunching tackle is needed and the threat of injury for him putting his foot in to nick the ball away from a defender? Would it ever come? I don't think it would. He would never give his all for Ten Hag.
Nah, I don't see it. I think the relationship's too scuppered now, to be honest here, for any of them to come back and have a decent performance. I mean, when you got a player on his wages of his notoriety as well, I mean, training away from the other group, you know what I mean? When you're being forced to train away from your mates and all that sort of stuff, when you're Jadon Sancho, there's no way you can come back from that, I don't think. And I don't think we see him playing first team football. Maybe he plays a couple of under 21s or something like that. I'm not too sure, but I don't see him coming back into the fold until January, and then I think it just ends up in a move away in January, sadly, which is a shame, because that just means the fans miss out on Jadon Sancho, and so does England. Do you know what I mean? Tips as the up and coming winger, so it's it's something that it's just disappointment for football fans, because because of an off-field drama and issue, we don't get to see the likes of Jadon Sancho.
Imagine if he was to drop down 2 leagues and play for Middlesbrough. Oh, sorry, no, you're in the Championship at the moment. Sorry, you're just holding everybody else up.
Mate, we're Carabao Champions League. Do you mind?
Carabao Cup champions, exactly. All right, yeah. All right. You stick to your selling of Ross Stewart injureds and your signing of strikers after the window's closed, and you just look after your old little Sunderland up there, mate. And Middlesbrough just go on, win the Carabao Cup, climb the league. And then Mog will be like, what happened? What happened? I missed that. Middlesbrough above us again.
Yeah. We'll just stick to the Champions League, lads.
Okay, yeah. There's the voice of authority coming from above. Yeah. It's an interesting one for you, fellas. An interesting one for you. We're talking here about Sancho and the situation with Ten Hag and what would have happened under Ferguson. The world has changed, hasn't it? Football has changed since Fergie was on the bench. We've gone woke, which is ridiculous. It'll come back round, don't worry. The world will sort itself out. We've gone PC mad. Would Peter Reid, would a Kenny Dalglish, would an Alex Ferguson, would a Terry Venables / Brian Robson, would they work in the dressing room in the modern day era?
No.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know what? I liken it to Neil Warnock and Roy Hodgson going back in at Crystal Palace. Two old gaffers that I think if you have a look at the decline of obviously Crystal Palace before Roy Hodgson came back, and obviously Huddersfield with Neil Warnock, you could see a little bit of those characteristics of egotism from a young playing group. And I think if you have a look at where these older gaffers have gone back in Roy Hodgson, the old sort of, units that they are, and that's what has fixed up Crystal Palace again. Roy Hodgson is someone that would demand respect, someone that is an old school manager that would not allow the younger boys to get away with what they're currently getting away with. And we see it again, I think, with Huddersfield as well. Huddersfield again went through that, the relegation. They were a solid team for a few years there. They were again, and we keep talking about it, which frustrates me. But the Brentford and the model that they've set, and the Brighton model, whatever that is. But it takes an older manager sometimes to get these young boys into line. It's like the military or something like that. You know what I mean? These boys, sometimes need discipline, and then I think it's up to the chief executives at the club to turn and do that. And I think Crystal Palace and Huddersfield have done that just to get those egotisms out of the club.
Yeah, I mean, we had so many managers over the years, didn't we, who just seemed to be on a like a revolving door, going into jobs, coming out of jobs. I mean, names that you would get linked with on a regular basis were like Alan Kirbishley, Tony Poulis,
Steve Bruce.
Sam Allardyce. Oh, Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce has got another. Have you not seen? No, that's another headline for the day. Steve Bruce is in contention for the Ireland job.
Is he really? Is Steve Bruce said that, or?
No, God, it was running on Sky last night.
Does he do fishing?
God, no.
He's got to wear a cap and go fishing to be accepted, surely, like Big Jack.
But those managers like Poulis and Kirbishley, for example, who were constantly linked with jobs and then got the jobs, they just seem to disappear. It was almost like the meteor had hit the earth and the dinosaurs were extinct. There was a couple of survivors like Steve Bruce, but ultimately you had this changing of the guard, and suddenly we had new managers coming in. But I tell you what's interesting is, and again we touched on this a little bit yesterday, is that a lot of these new managers, sometimes make the mistake of coming in and just trying to take a big job straight away. I mean, I thought Gerrard had done the right thing. He went to Rangers, he was cutting his teeth. Did really well up there, but then bang, straight into Aston Villa and made an absolute pig's ear of it. You know what I mean? And he found himself out on his ear. Lampard was doing well in the Championship with Derby County, and then goes for the big job and fails miserably. I just don't think a lot of these new managers have got what the old school managers had, and I think it's because the game's changed as well. I mean, back in the day, Kirbishley and Poulis would sit down with the chairman, discuss a list of players that they wanted to bring in. They would bring them in. They would coach them. There'd be a relationship there between them and the players, and those players would be playing for the manager. Now, like we've said about Ten Hag, you've got a situation where the manager is not a manager anymore. He's a head coach, and the head coach basically gets a load of players that the owner wants to buy or who can afford to buy X, Y, and Z. There's those players. You go and co-ingredients is the relationship between the player, the player and the
model. And I think that model really undermines the manager's position as well, because psychologically, and we talked psychology, didn't we? A couple of, and I'm not your man. You didn't sign me. Come on, mate. So immediately the player's almost put himself on a pedestal in terms of his relationship with the manager. The owner's signed me, mate, not you. So you can't tell me you can't shout at me, you can't throw teacups at me. It's almost that scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's the problem. That's the big problem.
Yeah, imagine the recruitment staff going up to Sir Alex Ferguson and saying, "Hey, by the way, we signed Jayden. He's out in the park waiting for you." Imagine telling Sir Alex that. You would have got a boot to the face. I don't want Jayden at my club. You know what I mean? It would have been simple as that. And it's incredible that we've moved into this new era where the manager doesn't really have say of the players that they can bring. Obviously, they're the head coach and they can say yes or no, or they might have a relationship there, but we see it at Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough, where it's the recruitment staff. We see it, in other clubs now who are going down the recruitment staff. And the recruitment staff don't have the relationship with the players. You know what I mean? They're recruitment staff. They've obviously maybe spoken to the players. They've maybe scouted them, but they don't have the relationship that, the likes of, that they would have had with Sir Alex and stuff like that. And that is one of the key essences that we are missing today, is that player playing for their manager. And don't get me wrong, there are players out there that now would love Michael Carrick, would love Mogga, those managers. They haven't been called up by Mogga directly, by Carrick directly, by even Eddie Howe directly, and said, look, I love you, thanks for the coffee last night. I want you to be boots at you, I promise. It's just not going to happen anymore. So, and the days of these managers being at clubs for years and years and years, and I think I put it in the notes for today about the average manager longevity at a club in the whole of Europe is now 16 months. That's the longest. That is the average that a manager spends at any club now in the whole of Europe is 16 months over every club. That's the average you get. So the days of Sir Alex, Arsene Wenger, all that being at the clubs for years and years just doesn't happen. So it's an incredible change of what we had in the old firm, if you would.
I miss the management style of Alex Ferguson, Peter Reid, Neil Lennon, because if players weren't pulling their weight, they would get told. And I think sometimes I feel like managers are scared of players now because players have got too much power, and I think they're scared to tell them exactly how they feel. And I think that's why and not just having to go at Borough, but when teams go on not a good run, that's why it happens so long, because I think the managers don't like properly come out and say how they feel. And this is why I was interested in the way that Michael Carrick manages, because you would have thought, when obviously he was played under Ferguson, you would have thought he would be a bit more, for want of a better word, angry. But like you say, you listen to him, and I'm sure we'll hear some audio from him soon. He's really calm, and it just surprises you where the position that Middlesbrough are in, and he's still just talking just calmly.
But he can be, you see, Carrick can be because he oozes respect because of what he did on the pitch for Manchester United. That's his advantage, and that's fairly unique. You don't see an awful lot of. I mean, we've talked Steven Gerrard, who would have been the same in Scotland, I'm sure. And I think that's that's where they have their advantage. And maybe, Steve, going back to your point, I think it was your point. When a Steven Gerrard steps into an Aston Villa, when that happens, suddenly you've got top flight international egos in a dressing room. Yeah. It's a bit more difficult for a Steven Gerrard to deal with that when he's not got tons of years under his belt experience dealing with that. Down in the Championship, my God, it's Steven Gerrard walking into our dressing room. It's Michael Carrick walking into our dressing room. We can learn from them walking into a Premier League dressing room full of egos, but also international players. And I think that's the issue for the young managers coming through.
Yeah, because these managers are only on a small wage compared to the players as well.
Exactly right, yeah.
I think I made the point last week about Pogba and Ronaldo both being plonked into the same dressing room by the Glazers as well. Imagine having to deal with those two egos. You know what I mean? Where Pogba literally, and Ronaldo, are making more than everybody else in that dressing room combined. It's how do you control egos like that? And it's all very well when things are going well and you're winning games, but when there's a bump in the road and you get knocked out the Champions League, which, let's face it, is what the Glazers see as the is the creme de la creme, or all these big clubs see, because that's where the money is. Fingers start getting pointed and people take the huff and walk out the dressing room. It's how do you control that as a manager? You can't, because you just don't have the respect, and that's it. I mean, I think it was a couple of occasions where you heard that Pogba wasn't that bothered about football. Well, why are you even there? Why would Manchester United even sign somebody who is more concerned about his social life and what he's doing outside of football than he is on the inside of football? So it's such a difficult job being a manager now, and you do need to cut your teeth through, I think, at the lower level, and sometimes
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Big Ange gets on, because Postecoglou has obviously had a few years at Celtic, done everything at Tottenham, so it'll be interesting because he wanted to make the biggest step up. So,
well, he's done a chunk, hasn't he, in Australia? Wasn't he the Socceroos guy? Didn't he lead the Socceroos as well? He appears, and Rai, you can correct me here, because I'm only going on appearances and when I see him speaking. He seems to have a bit of that old manager style mould, where he could be a bit of a shouter and a ranter, and you will do this style in the dressing room. Is that right? Is that how he comes across?
Completely agree. Yeah, completely agree, and you're exactly the nail on the head. I remember when he was in charge of the Socceroos that the left turn out of the international scene if they want to challenge my decision and challenge what I and did the same thing. He's a person that, if you have a listen to him in the press conferences, it's hilarious actually, some of the quit bits that he gets back at the reporters and stuff like that. He's very intelligent and he's someone that demands authority, I think, when he walks into a room, and I think you're exactly right. I think he's got a little bit of that old school mentality in him. I think he definitely could. I would hate to see an angry Ange Postecoglou in front of me. And he's also brought in, don't forget, Mile Jedinak as well, the ex-Aston Villa, but a Australian midfielder who was an absolute menace in terms of pushing and shoving around and stuff like that, and could absolutely scream. I remember watching a Socceroos game when Mile Jedinak was playing, and I swear to God, you could go out for a pint in outside the ground and you'd still hear Mile screaming at the other players on the ground. So it's something that I think definitely Tottenham have gotten a good old school manager there, and it looks to be working very, very fruitful for them at the moment.
Still plenty more to come. We can localise it as well, which is great, fellas, because we've got Northeast footy action tomorrow. Can't wait for it to return. Lots more footy talk on the Northeast Footy Breakfast. We're going to do that right across the Northeast on the Cat, the Red and the Toon, and we'll do that next.
Well, we know
road to nowhere. I'm hoping it's not a road to nowhere tomorrow when the Borough travel across to Blackburn.
It won't be.
Good man.
It won't be. We're up and about. We're going to score plenty of goals. We're going to win at least 6-0, beating Sunderland's team of the week last week, of having every Borough team player in team of the week with Michael Carrick as the manager come Monday morning, and everyone will be like, wow, right, did you see that performance? And I'll be like, you know what? I did call it on the Friday show.
I think you're setting yourself up for a big fall there, Ray.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he?
He's been sniffing the barmaid's apron again, hasn't he? That's what he's been doing.
Definitely. I think a 1-1 draw for you down at Blackburn will keep you happy, to be fair.
A 1-1 draw, I'll take that now. Can we have it now and we don't play the game? Oh, we've done that before with Blackburn, haven't we? Not played the game. Sorry.
Interesting song, that's Road to Nowhere song.
Oh, go on. He's going to give a Scottish link again.
I have got two.
It's the A1. It's the A1 north of Newcastle. It's the road to nowhere. That's where it is. That's the link.
It's the road from Inverness to Dingwall and the road up to Stranraer as well. You feel like you're on the road to nowhere when you go into them places. I tell you,
mate, you're a Mackem. You're a Mackem. What's all this love for Scotland?
I went to the blind school in Edinburgh, and I volunteer for RNIB Scotland. So obviously going to all the Hibs matches and that, you just used to travelling up there. So yeah,
I'm going to bring my mate on.
September, so
I'm going to bring my mate on, who's a true Scot and he supports Hearts, just to balance the Scotland argument. But anyway, we are on roads to nowhere, Borough, and we're on roads anyway tomorrow. I'm probably doing it today, to be fair. Where Borough, Blackburn, where are you? Down in the smoke, aren't you? Sunderland are down in the smoke, and Newcastle are sitting pretty at St James's.
Only one at home, only one for the Northeast teams playing actually in the Northeast tomorrow, which will be, a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Middlesbrough got a tough away run now. Actually, we've got I think the next 5 is around 4 of them, obviously with the Carabao Cup, are away from home. So it's going to be a while since we see the Borough back at the Riverside
as well. One at Sunderland.
That's on the 7th of October. We're looking forward to it. Absolutely, we're looking forward to it. I've already ticked that one off. It's going to be an easy 3 points for the Borough. Yeah, absolutely.
That's 6-0 at least. Easy.
Steve's just sitting there smoking a big fat cigar at the moment, going, look at them in the Championship scrapping like cats. Cats in the street.
I told you I'm going to be like a referee that week, lads. I really am.
Go on, sorry mate, go on, I've cut you off.
I'm going to say we'll have just come off the back of our first Champions League game at home, and then you two will be revelling in this derby atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to the referee, and I've got to be honest.
Good man. I've got a question for you. Got a question for you, lads. Which of the 3 Northeast managers, so we're talking Eddie Howe, Tony Mowbray, Michael Carrick, will be the first to get sacked?
Oh, wow! I don't think it's going to be Eddie Howe. My order would be Carrick, Mowbray, and Howe.
You put Carrick ahead of Mogger after the summer shenanigans at the Stade de Loom.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'd have to say Mogger first. Yeah, I'd have to say Mogger first, Carrick second on results, and then Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe will probably take a payday and just leave. I think he'll just be like, "Oh, boys, give me 50 mil, I'm out," sort of thing. So,
And I'd say Carrick, Howe, and Mowbray.
Mogger last.
I think, and I know I'm going to get some stick off you lot for this, but I think Eddie Howe will leave and he'll take the England job.
That's what I was going to say. Don't forget, there's always that England spectre hanging over St James's Park for Eddie Howe. It could be like that big alien spaceship that just sucks him up out of St James's Park and then plonks him at Wembley.
It's all about timing for that, though, and I genuinely think that Howe keeping Newcastle up in the Great Escape season, and then getting Newcastle into a Carabao Cup final and the Champions League, he's earned himself a bit of time. He's earned himself a bit of time, and I genuinely think that he'll still be here if Newcastle don't qualify for Europe. Don't win anything this season. I still think Howe will have an opportunity next season to put it right. And unfortunately, the England job, I think will be available next summer, and I think Graham Potter's a shoe-in for that job.
But Steve, you say about Eddie Howe earning some time, and I know we all laughed at the comments from some people, but after he's got beat off Brighton, I think there was people coming out saying they should be sacked there and then. So
this is social media.
Yeah.
The
And
evils
I mean,
of.
that wasn't the true. I don't think that was the true reflection of the support, was it? You know.
No, you know what? I mean, this is I don't want to go back down that wormhole, but like social media is full of people pretending to be Newcastle fans. You know, people creating mischief on there. I genuinely don't think any real true Newcastle fan would want Eddie Howe to be sacked. At the end of the day, the guy's only lost, we've had, and it's been recognised by everybody, the hardest Premier League start known to man this season, really. The only way it could have been harder is if all of those games had been away from home.
And if Sunderland were in it as well, it would be harder.
Not really. Don't forget it was 1-1. Mitrovic scored in the last game that we played against you. But ultimately, for me, I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I mean, Tony Mowbray looked as if he was going to be the man going out. Before the ball had been kicked, and whatever's happened behind the scenes has pacified both parties, and to the point where the 12-month contract extension's been utilised, and he's staying there, and he seems quite happy. Carrick, if Middlesbrough, if the worst happens and Middlesbrough get beat this weekend, the knives are going to start to get sharpened down there. And I mean, I've watched like numerous managers at Middlesbrough. What Gibson tends to do, and it's when you least expect it. So he's going to be looking at it. Middlesbrough should have come up last season. They didn't, and manager, he's just, as we all know, the players that they lost, and now he's got to get those players that have come in, he's got to get them to gel.
And we saw what happened with Brian Robson. He went to Robbo and did the old Brian, what do you need? When times got tough for Robbo, he at the Borough anyway, because bringing in other manager, Gary Monk and Tony Pulis and Neil Warnock et al. I think he was a little bit more ruthless. He saw things he didn't like and he acted and got rid. So I don't think there was as much patience offered to the most recent bunch of managers. But I truly believe with Michael Carrick, he sees another Brian Robson coming up. And I'm not just talking about the Manchester United connection. So I truly think if Borough go another 3 games without a victory, or 4 games without a victory, the conversation you'll be getting in the Riverside will be, what do you need? What can I do to help? Yeah. I don't think it's going to be you're out on your ear, fellas. I think there's something a bit different with this Michael Carrick Borough relationship than the last handful of previous managers, and that's why I don't think you'll see,
especially with Woodgate there as well. I mean, I think there's some. I think we saw, so it was Jonathan Woodgate leave, and I think again he's sort of learnt from Gareth Southgate as we see Southgate then goes on to be the England manager. Obviously, Woodgate comes in. Gibson's got this ideology of finding of the next brilliant managers. And sometimes they are brilliant managers. We've seen, obviously, Gareth Southgate goes on to do the England job. We then see Jonathan Woodgate, after being sacked, go on to Bournemouth and get them, on a promotion run. So, he sees the potential in these managers. And I think in Michael Carrick, he truly believes. We turned down Rob Edwards. Rob Edwards is the Luton Town manager now in the Premier League to get Michael Carrick in. And Michael Carrick has now got Jonathan Woodgate next to him and Aaron Danks, and that is a formidable coaching staff. Maybe he adds one more to him, exactly what Dave said, but I honestly believe Carrick is going to get as much time as any, if not more than any other manager at Middlesbrough, because I just don't see Gibbo backing down on what he believes, how he believes in Michael.
As a Borough fan, Ryan, Dave, would you take 4 points from your next 2 matches? Obviously, you've got Blackburn away tomorrow and then Sheffield Wednesday away on Tuesday. Would you take 4 points from them 2 games? Bearing in mind that Sheffield Wednesday are down the bottom as well.
Right, I'll let you go
take
first.
6. I'd take 6.
Obviously, you want 6.
I think 6.
Right.
Look, I'd take as any points I can get at this point in time. Do you know what I mean? We've got 1 point from 5 games. So whatever we can get and ground out, then of course I'd take. You know what I mean? But I honestly, and I know everyone's, doomsaying and, Ryan, you're too optimistic and blah, 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 blah. I honestly believe that we are going to turn this around. I honestly believe there is a very, very good team in Middlesbrough. We've seen it with Latte Lath and his chances. We've seen it with the boys that are on the bench. There is too many good players in that team and on the bench to not take points over the next few games. We are going to start to gel. There's going to be something that clicks. Michael Carrick is honestly going to get it to click. He's got Aaron Danks, Jonathan Woodgate backing him up. There's going to be something that clicks for the Borough. I can tell you that now. And there's going to be a good little run there. I just believe it, because Michael Carrick is too good of a man management, too intelligent to let it get away too much longer. So I honestly believe that we'll get some points on the board over the next few games.
Here's one for both of you guys, right? There was an interview yesterday with Gordon Strachan, former Middlesbrough boss.
Hang on, let me just spit on the floor.
Yeah. He said, when I look at the championship this season, I don't think there are one or two teams in the division that will blow most teams away. He says, I can't see any candidates that you would potentially consider runaway leaders in terms of securing those automatic promotion spots. I think it'll be really, really tight between the top 10 with about 8 or 9 games to go. I expect Coventry, Leeds and Southampton to be in that group. Of course, Strachan spent a year in charge at Borough. Yeah. He expects his former clubs, Coventry, Southampton, Leeds, to be in the promotion mix. He says Coventry are a team with a lot of guts, and I think he was doing this with Gambling Zone. He says they're a team that every player they sign improves. Will they have enough in their locker to get promoted to the Premier League this season? I don't know. Southampton are a team that love to keep the ball. The possession-based game will work against some teams, but not all of them. And Leeds, I don't think Leeds would lose so many players, but they did, which I thought would be a problem for them. He says, but Leeds are the biggest club out of the 3. There can be no doubt about that. So, the one thing that stood out for me with that interview was he didn't mention Borough. Sunderland.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, right? Didn't mention the Borough.
Yeah, because the Borough don't like him, so and we've got not one Scottish player in the team that's actually doing, that he can, relate to after the Scottish Revolution that never worked. Look, I get what he means. I mean, at the moment, if you're a pundit and you're getting asked, Middlesbrough are last on the table, so I guess whether if you're a pundit at the moment, if you're asking who's going to be up there, it's not Middlesbrough because we're last. So I do kind of understand it, but I think there's a bit of bitterness to it as well, because I mean the Borough fans will tell you, how disastrous. I put a tweet out the other day about the school. There's a Twitter account we follow which is called Slow Sports News, and it obviously it puts out the news that's happened like 5-6 years ago as if it's currently just happened, and it was the news that Gareth Southgate is about to be sacked as Middlesbrough manager, bringing in Gordon Strachan. And I said, "Oh no, the Scottish Revolution," with the laughing emoji. And the amount of people that came back and said that was the worst appointment, the worst time at our club, it was phenomenal. So I think there's a bit of bitterness from the Borough fans towards him anyway, and what he tried to do at Middlesbrough in terms of turning us into a Scottish, the literal Scottish team of the Championship, which didn't work, sort of thing. And Middlesbrough are. We're more than that. We're more than the Scottish team of the Championship, and the revolution that he tried to do was just one of great distaste still as a Borough fan. So on your Strachan, you can keep looking at your betting ads and that, and good luck getting a job out there, champion.
Yeah. He destroyed the club.
Any more digs at Scotland today or anything, or any more? Any more?
I don't think there were digs at Scotland. I think it was digs at Gordon Strachan. That's what it was.
Yeah, and you lost England.
Yeah, 3-1. Yeah, did we mention that this week? Yeah, there you go. Look, I can't disagree. And this all became this chat all came with my question of who would be the first one to leave out of the 3 managers. And the reason why I was asking that is simply, this UEFA report talking about the average existence now of a top flight manager is just 16 months. Is the game changing?
Yeah. It has to. Yeah, it's incredible to see. I mean, the UEFA have released a report, for those that don't know, saying that across the whole of Europe, this isn't just Premier League, just the Championship, we're talking about the whole of Europe. UEFA have done studies that the average length of and tenure of any manager at any club is now 16 months, which is incredible, as we were just previously before the break talking about the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, all these gaffers that have been at clubs for years on end. And I think can you imagine getting given a job for 16 months and you're told, right, you need to take us from here to there, you need to increase profits, you need to do all that in 16 months. I mean, it'd be insane if you walked into a business that was, which was stuttering, you know what I mean, and you were given 16 months to turn it around. But it's a results driven business, and it seems to be the ever rotating door that seems to be the answer for most of these clubs, no matter where you're at. I think I hope that the days will turn. I feel like, that maybe it's like a bathtub effect, that we started up with the highs of the managers staying longer. We're in a bit of a low at the moment where we're seeing managers sacked like an ever-rotating door. I hope we're heading towards a high again where we can see some managers get given the time, even through the thick, to turn it around and to build their legacy, because you can't build a legacy in 16 months. I'd argue no one can.
So definitely not. Definitely not. It's impossible, isn't it? And the problem is as well, and we'll keep going back to social media, but you get this knee-jerk reaction. So, Newcastle United's turnaround under Eddie Howe, where we pulled off the Great Escape, was one tick in the box, and then to go from that to challenging for, European slots and getting to a cup final, suddenly he's a genius. He's up there with Kevin Keegan, and that means that the expectation levels rise. And this season, anything below what he's achieved last season is looked at as failure. And it was similar. The difference with Kevin Keegan was, although Kevin Keegan didn't win anything at St James's Park other than plaudits, he saved us from relegation to the old Division 3. He got us promoted from the First Division into the Premier League. And then once he hit the Premier League, in the period that he was in the Premier League with Newcastle United, he created the entertaining football. The team was dubbed the Entertainers, with the exception of our local rivals. It was everybody's favourite second team to watch on Sky, and we ended up in this position where Kevin Keegan was consistently performing. He was bringing in players. Newcastle were getting better and better and better, and then Keegan just left. Typical Kevin walked out. Never to come back, and that was the end of that. He probably bucked the trend in the sense that he kept the consistency, but we didn't win anything. Those managers, and you mentioned them before, right? The two managers that spring to mind in recent years, Fergie and Arsene Wenger. Two managers who managed the consistency. I mean, Arsenal fans were wanting Wenger out, yet they never failed to qualify for the Champions League under Wenger. And that in itself, I think it was, what a credit to the guy. Finding that consistency is so difficult. But yeah, I think now a lot of it's because everything is so instant, and fans do react, and clubs look at that. The people in the boardrooms look at that. They have teams looking at the social media, and I think they play to the crowd. A lot of these clubs play to the crowd, and I think that's where the mistakes lie. You've got to have a bit of confidence in your appointment, and if things get rough, then sometimes you've got to stick with a manager, but that just doesn't happen anymore.
Wow, I mean, what sort of a society do we live in where influencers on social media are earning the multi-million-pound contracts, and you've got anonymous keyboard warriors who can dictate what football clubs do? I mean, what a world we're living in, guys.
Bonkers. Yeah, absolutely bonkers.
Thank God they don't dictate what this show does. Mind you, it is news time.
Well, it is news time, mate. Good shout. And people can dictate what we do on here. We are going to switch after the news to the weekend ahead, and we're going to discuss Sunderland, Borough, Newcastle, pulling the boots back on. Yes, after a pretty barren 10 or 12 days. And you can have your comments too. So the WhatsApp number, if you want to put your comments through at the studio to the boys to chew the fat over, 0330 043 2002. That's 0330 043 2002. That's the WhatsApp number. We will be chatting more North East footy on the Brekky after this. Oh, good Teesside lads. Rhea's Ices from Middlesbrough. That's the family. Chris Rhea and Josephine. And did an interview with him a long time ago now, probably about 15 years ago. It was when the Blue Cafe album came out, and the guy was obviously locked in a radio studio that they'd hired for the day, and all the radio stations around the UK would connect to him and start asking questions about where did the inspiration for this song come from, and what's the meaning of that one, and I just went, now then Chris, tell us about your life in the borough. And the guy just lit up, and he talked for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes on, how he used to serve burgers on the corner of Grange Road and Linthorpe Road, and his love for cars, because he's got a huge love for fast cars. And he said one day he was flipping burgers and getting covered in grease and fat, and this red Ferrari turned left in front of him, and he just looked at it and dreamt and said, one day I will own one of those cars, and that's where his love for big cars came from, and he's done well. And talking of local musicians, we're going to be checking in with the Longstand soon, Steve.
Yes, a band that I had the joy of managing for a few years on Tyneside, and Ian Barnes has got a charity event on down in Wilmslow, which is where he lives now, so we're going to get him on and chat about that, chat a little bit about the band, and I'm going to try and persuade him to record a third album.
Brilliant, that's great stuff, yeah. Cool, well, we'll be chatting with him probably in the next 5 minutes, but let's get into, and we'll continue this through till 9, I'm sure, the small matter of QPR, of Blackburn, and of Brentford. So we've got quite a bit going on over the weekend. Where do we start? Mogger.
Yay!
Going to the smoke. And he was there just last week. He went with Steve. Steve and Mogger went together to London. Did you know that?
Yeah, we did. Went on a shopping trip. It was nice to meet. It was nice to meet him, to be honest. What a lovely guy. Nice to meet him and his missus. But yeah, he looked very relaxed. He was clearly happy with the way things were going. But yeah, I'm glad we stopped and had a chat, and hopefully get him on the show one day.
I bet he placed a few orders last weekend to collect this weekend. I'm sure it was sorted out like that. That'll be it. That's why I was in Oxford Street. Yeah. So, Mackie, what are you expecting?
Well, I'm looking forward to QPR. My girlfriend's going to our second Sunderland away game. She lives in Hereford, so we're getting there. We're meeting up in London tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to it. It feels like it's been months since that 5-0 game against Southampton. So I think it'll be tough, because I think QPR are quite a physical side, and it'll be interesting to see how he, as I said yesterday, how he integrates the new signings. But yeah, I'm hoping that we can come out with the 3 points, and a clean sheet would be nice. So it'd be a nice, comfortable game for a change would be like Southampton was. If we just build on that momentum, because the games are winnable. Like Blackburn, Sheffield Wednesday after QPR, so and Cardiff as well. So we tend to do all right away from home. So hopefully we can start it in good fashion as we mean to go on.
I'll tell you one thing that's going to shock you when you go down, and for Sunderland fans listening in as well, is the form of Asmir Begovic, obviously the new goalkeeper, after Seni Dieng came up to the Borough. But Asmir Begovic is in right form down at QPR. He was shutting down absolutely everything that we threw at him last week. Latte Lath literally should have had, and look, maybe it's on Latte Lath as well, but Latte literally had 4 or 5 chances that should have gone in, and if it wasn't for Begovic, it would have been a very sorry day for QPR. So I'll be interested to see if the new strike force down at Sunderland can, after 5 goals put past Southampton, can get past Begovic, because for me at the moment he's one of the top goalkeepers in form of the championship.
And obviously it's worth pointing out that the away end sold out tomorrow as well, so tremendous support from here, there and everywhere going to follow the Red and White Wizards tomorrow. So hopefully the lads can give us something back off there to repay our loyalty. And I obviously won't give my prediction yet. We'll keep that for the end, but I do think Sunderland will win tomorrow. I do.
And hopefully Gareth Ainsworth has found the extra buttons on his shirt, because I say last weekend at the Borough he had a 6-button-up shirt and only 1 button was done up with his long necklace as well. So Gareth, if you are listening, I know you're a big fan of the show. Feel free to button up on match day, mate. I know you've got a beautiful chest, but it was very distracting with the sun glaring off it.
Yeah, I think he's combing the chest wig that he's going to be putting on this weekend. So, yeah.
You get sunshine in Middlesbrough? Wow.
Yeah, we do. We get plenty of sunshine. Plenty of sunshine. That's why we don't need to name our stadium after light, to try and beckon it in. It just comes naturally, sort of thing. So.
Okay.
But is there any chance, and we'll hear from Mogger very soon, is there any chance that expectation levels, because you've now done Southampton 5-0, will just ridiculously get out of hand now with Sunderland fans?
I hope not. Yeah, yes. I hope not. I mean, mine haven't. As tends to happen after a really good result, people do tend to get a bit carried away and stuff like that. But I don't know. My feet are firmly on the ground, and what will be, and I just get behind the team every single game. That's just what you do, and it's just what I'm here for. So yeah, I would definitely go along with the players and management, and that they just sort of keep their feet on the ground, sort of thing, and just try and build momentum, as I say, it goes. Rome wasn't built in a day, so slowly and all that,
I've noticed our Newcastle friend has gone very quiet now. We're talking Sunderland. Come on, Steve, you must have some comments on Sunderland.
I'm busy doing my research, getting ready for this interview that's coming up. So to be honest, that's why I've let you guys talk Sunderland and Borough. But from my perspective, obviously doing the breakfast show, I do have to look at both teams and at least have a little bit of an idea of what's coming up. And it takes me back to when we were in the Championship. It's such a relentless league. It's a tough league.
It is.
And for me as well, what I remember is just how the referees are so different in the Championship as opposed to the Premier League. I remember when we got no VAR, but when we got relegated as well, it was equivalent to going into the Sunday League. I'll be standing there expecting a free kick for somebody getting shoulder charged off the ball, and then suddenly you're going, oh my, what? Play on, are you joking? And it was like that realisation that, hold on a minute, you're not in that protected bubble anymore. It is rougher, it is tougher. You can't play football and play your way out of that division. You've got to be able to adapt each game, and you can have a game like Sunderland had against Southampton at the Stadium of Light, where they whopped them 5-0, but they could equally go to Queen's Park Rangers this weekend and get done by the same scoreline. It's such a tough division. But I think as well, the other thing with the Championship is that you don't always a result like that isn't a disaster, because you can pick yourself up and there's so many more games to come, and when you're playing 40 plus games as you are in the Championship, you can always right it. You can get off to a horrendous start like Middlesbrough have, but by the end of the season you can be sitting in the top 2, and that's the beauty of that division. It is exciting. It has become a great division, I think, especially when you look at the teams in it. And just going back to what Strachan said, in his interview, you forget the teams that are in it. Leeds United, Southampton, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Coventry. It is absolutely crazy to think that those teams, Leicester City, Premier League champions.
Premier League
only a few years ago, in the Champions League, now battling for promotion in the Championship. It's crazy, but it's a great division. It's a really good division.
But even more bizarre to that, who's leading? Who's up there? Ipswich Town, who've come up. Just promoted. Yes, they've got some money behind them. Preston are up there. It is crazy, but it's early stages. And we will. Go on, Rai. Sorry.
We were. But it's funny because if we have a look at this time last season, Middlesbrough were what, 21st, Dave, and Coventry were 23rd.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we ended up playing each other in a playoff final. So it is exactly right. You know what I mean? It's funny. There is so many games in the Championship. They're so smashed together. You know what I mean? A Saturday result can mean nothing come the Tuesday night down at Stoke. Do you know what I mean? So it literally is such a intense fixture, an intense sort of league that you're absolutely right. Look, Sunderland can go and beat Southampton 5-0, have an international break, travel down to QPR and get smacked 6-0, and you'd be like, oh, yep. You know what I mean? It literally could it's that type of league. And like tonight, for instance, we got Southampton versus Leicester. A couple of years ago, that's the best, that's a Premier League fixture. You know what I mean? But 8 o'clock
I've got to stop and check, right?
I've got to stop and check
sometimes, like you look at the fixture, you when it comes up on the TV, what games are coming on, and then you go, oh God, I'm not watching that Premier League game, and then you think, oh, actually, that's not Premier League anymore. It's a Championship.
Well,
we'll listen.
Southampton Leicester tonight.
It'd be worth watching. Actually, it's in the Premier League, I wouldn't watch it. Now it's in the Championship, I might. We'll listen and we'll check in with Tony Mowbray very shortly on their trip, ahead of their trip down to the Smoke. But let's change tack slightly. Let's go local music, Steve.
Yes, the Long Sands were a band that I managed for a few years in the Northeast, and we managed to create some fantastic days, nights, and the lads created 2 fantastic albums, and delighted to say that we're joined by the singer-songwriter Ian Barnes. Morning, Ian.
Morning, Steve. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Great to have you on, mate. Great to have you on. And the reason I've got you on is because you are playing a one-off acoustic show with the Long Sands in Wilmslow in support of Young Lives versus Cancer. It's this coming Saturday at the Con Club in Wilmslow. Now, the story behind this is that a close friend of yours is promoting the night to support the charity because his 5-year-old grandson has been fighting cancer for the last 12 months and wanted to give something back for the support that his family have received. Now, the event sold out, but I've got you on, obviously, because I want to have a little chat with you anyway, but you've got a Just Giving page up there, which we can give a bit of a plug to. But good to see the Long Sands back, first of all. Ian, are you nervous about the event?
To be honest, Steve, I've not really even processed the fact that we're kind of doing it. Life's been busy, you know, and we were asked. I run a little open mic night where I live in Wilmslow, just south of Manchester. And Ian, the other Ian, I call him the better Ian because he's better than me. Basically, he's a fantastic guitarist, songwriter, and we have to differentiate between the two of us. So yeah, he obviously this news came in about a year or so ago, and it's heartbreaking story really. But I think the little lad's fighting well, and you know, I think Ian just wanted to sort of take some control back, kind of thing, and do something good, and asked us if he was promoting this night and would I play, and I said, well, I tell you what, I'll get on to the lads because it's all original music. That's the idea. It's all songwriters, and it's like a kind of unplugged acoustic show. So I got on the blow out of Trev. Gaz is going to come up as well. It's not a full band thing, but yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest. But yeah, it's going to be a special night, I think, and looking forward to dusting off the guitar and playing some tunes, and hopefully, you know, doing something positive out of the situation. I think is where we all want to be.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, for those people who are out there who haven't heard about the Long Sands, I mean, you created 2 wonderful albums, Ian. You know, just tell us about the 2 albums.
Yeah, well, the first album was obviously a kind of a life's work when we released it. Your debut album always is. And at that time, we were professional musicians. That's all we did. So there was a lot of thought and effort and work went into that. We had a great producer, a local producer called Fred Purser, and it was a slog getting it out. We had you know, potential record deals that didn't work out and record deals that didn't happen and this, that, and the other. And then I think that's when we kind of bumped into you, Steve, and we decided, you know, we're going to take it into our own hands. We set up a label, we put it out, and I think it's done. I don't know how many copies it's done now, 70,000 or something like that, which is amazing, really. And around that time, we were obviously raising my profile, playing kind of all over Europe, really, and playing with some quite established musicians and so on and so forth. So it was a different time then. The second album came a bit later. We'd kind of settled down with families and things like that, and it's a bit more reflective, probably a bit darker, and yeah. So I think that I'm proud of both of them, really, and yeah, like I say, looking forward to playing the old tunes.
So the first album is called Meet Me in Spanish City, and that is available on all the usual downloadable services. The second album, which came out in 2016, is called Us and Them. We did do a few high-profile gigs. I'm going to mention one because this is a North East football breakfast show that we do here. So we do have Sunderland and Middlesbrough fans listening in and contributing to the show.
Hang on, mate. You're making it sound like we're on the bottom of your shoe.
We did do a gig at St James's Park, didn't we, Ian? On the pitch. Now we did a charity record for the Bobby Robson Foundation called the Blade and Races. But just explain which game it was that we got you on the pitch for.
So I think it was the Sunderland derby. Was it 2011, maybe?
Yes, yeah, it was. Yeah,
I can't remember.
Steve Bruce was the manager of Sunderland, and after you guys had performed, which was clearly a good luck charm, Newcastle went on to score 5 goals against Sunderland. We won 5-1. The Mackham Slayer, Shola Ramiobi, was in fine form. Kevin Nolan scored a hat-trick and did the chicken dance. fans, and Chris Hughton was dancing like Bob Stokoe across Wembley. So yeah, we won 5-1 in that particular game. We also had a rather interesting challenge going on as well to promote another one of our albums, and you actually had to do one of those challenges. Now we had Trevor played conkers against Mike Tyson at the Fed in Gateshead. We had one of the lads, Stan, doing a putting competition against Frank McAvenny. We had Gaz running along a beach playing the egg and spoon race with Steve Harmison. We did a game of British Bulldog against the Newcastle Falcons. Tell us what your challenge was, Ian.
Yeah. Well, mine was the most boring, to be honest. We went up to, was it Man City? We went to at the time, and I think Shay Given was there, and we did rock paper scissors. Did I? And I think I'm the only one who actually won.
You won. You won. Yeah.
Yeah, and Paul did hit the bullseye, didn't he, at Ricky Hatton's house, and trod dog shit into it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to swear at this time.
Yes. Other types of excrement are available.
You did apologise. Yeah. That was your Sex Pistols moment. Yeah. Okay, fantastic stuff.
Yeah. I'm such a rebel.
I think we managed to plug everything we needed to plug, but we need to just talk about the charity event again. It's sold out. We have got the link, but I mean, is there any way that anybody who maybe isn't computer literate can help out with this event, or is it just by donating to the Just Giving page?
Yeah, so the tickets are pretty much all gone now, unless someone wants to pretend to be our roadie or something. That event sold out. There is another event on there, but they're both in the northwest, because obviously Ian's based over here, and the kind of Hospital of Christie in Manchester is like, you know, quite kind of established and famous for its work against cancer. Where he's been getting some of his treatment in the Manchester Children's Hospital. So both the events are over this way, but yeah, if anyone fancies a track, I think there's another event on there as well that he's promoting in Delamere Park Clubhouse as well. So if anyone is in this area, you can check out those two events. But the Saturday night one is sold out now. But there is a Just Giving link that I've sent through to you. So if anybody wants to contribute, it's for a great cause. It'd be much appreciated.
Ian, best of luck with the event, mate, and obviously we'll give that a plug on social media. Go on, Dave.
I was just going to say, yeah, if you're trying to find the Just Giving link, we will give it a plug, but if you're trying to find it, just get on to Just Giving and do a search for Young Lives versus Cancer virtual collection. So, and
I think anybody who listens to the Long Sands first two albums needs to get in touch with Ian Barnes on social media and persuade him to do the third album, because he's a bit reticent to do it. The guy's very talented, Ian. The pressure's going to be on you over the next few months.
Yeah, well, I was waiting for that, Steve. I predicted you might throw that one in.
Good man.
Have a good morning. We're going to play Bully a little bit later on, but Ian Barnes, thanks for joining us, mate.
We're going to play it now. Thanks, Ian. Thanks for your time and good luck with the gigs. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, lads. Cheers.
So here it is. Here is Bully from the Long Sands.
The voice, but you're one of the crowd. A vision of weakness, you're dull, but your voice is so loud. I'm the butt of your jokes, cause I draw more girls you hang round. You killed to make your imprint on my soul. The heart and the lungs of this land. Charismatic and fun, I can laugh off the bounces you hand. Cause in 15 years time when you're lost, I'll be still in demand. You'll be working the bins on a wage of about $7 grand. You'll never make your imprint on my soul. No, not like me. I'm not like you. You never break my soul. scumbag, a bully, the new dirty den. Through the fear of violence and status, you hustle your friends. You're an empty machine and your life has no meaning. You're dead. You'll never make your imprint on my soul.
No, not likely. I'm not like you. You never break my soul. No, not likely. I'm not like you. You never break my soul. No, not likely. I'm not like you. You never break my soul.
The Long Sands and Bully. Where they're from? Where they're from originally, Steve?
All Cramlington lads, good old Cramlington lads, great bunch of lads, and yeah, I had a great time managing them. Never ever thought I would manage a band back in the day, but that was it. That was great. And you know, the bands he was talking about, he's always very, always very shy mentioning them. We played with the likes of the Jam and Ocean Colour Scene, and the Blue Tones. There were some big names that we followed around. We had a great laugh. Life on the road with the band was something I look back with fond memories. But I think they need to do that third album. They've still got a lot to give.
Yeah, good stuff. And
I didn't realise you're a band manager there, Steve. I want to, I guess you must be pretty impressed with all the jingles and singing I've been doing on the show.
Yeah.
I
X Factor beckons. X Factor beckons. Yeah, definitely.
There it
or
is.
maybe Britain's Got Talent, because all they seem to do is bring talent in from elsewhere.
More like the Oz Factor.
the Oz Factor.
The Oz Factor. Yeah, I like it.
You heard it here first. Steve Wraith is my new manager. My album dropping early next week.
Okay, good,
Yep.
good.
Next
good.
week.
And just to plug once again, Ian obviously on from the Long Sands. If you can help, it's a Just Giving link. Just get on there and do a search for Young Lives versus Cancer. And if you can contribute, then that would be magnificent. Young Samuel recovering after surgery, basically, and recovering from cancer. Right, we were talking Sunderland. Oh yeah, and we might as well give a plug, Steve. Local bands. We're quite happy to give you some airtime for your music. So, whether you're from Teesside, Tyneside, Wearside, get in touch, give us a shout. Usual ways. You can do it on social media. You can WhatsApp the studio 0330 043 2002. That's the number 0330 043 2002. Or via the contact us links on the websites. We're at thecatuk.com, thereduk.com, and thetuneuk.com. So all the usual ways of getting in touch with us. We'd love to play your music and feature you and have a chat as well. Right, we were talking Sunderland, boys. Let's focus now for the next 25 minutes or so on what lies ahead. It is a weekend of action. It is coming back. Should we have a listen to Mogger? Should we do a bit of Mogger in his press conference? All right, this is what a chunk of what Tony Mowbray had to say in his press conference. Basically, 5-0, Southampton, international break. They're not going to get carried away.
3 games this week. We're looking forward to them. We have to, as I said after that game, really get the feet back on the ground very quickly. Nobody thinks 5-0 against one of the really fancy teams of the league. We should be doing anything other than just put the points in the bag and work hard, which we have been trying to do this week. Let's get back to hard work and graft, and hopefully we can go to Queen's Park Rangers and find some of the quality that we showed in the Southampton game and see if we can score some goals.
I just love how laid back Mogger is. How much of a nice guy he is.
Yeah, nothing's a bother to him, is it? I mean, he's brilliant. absolutely brilliant, and he's a breath of fresh air to listen to as well, and he's so like knowledgeable about the game. Yeah, I could listen to him all day. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's been around a bit, hasn't he, old Mogger? So he knows what he's doing,
Yeah,
he knows what he's talking about, and the way he just, he talks about preparation and not getting carried away, and that is always level-headed, is Mogger. And I do appreciate Mogger as one of the top-tier managers in the championship. Obviously one of the old heads as well, with all the younger managers around. So obviously, Middlesbrough in his veins as well. So that's where he
good
gets it
good championship managers are hard to come by. You know what I mean? And he really is one. So Sunderland need to stick with him, because he will get them where they want to belong. There's no doubt.
I agree with that, Steve.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. That's why I said that if Sunderland, when there was talk about Mowbray leaving, I said if Sunderland lost Mowbray, that would be one of our best managers we've in my lifetime that we've lost.
You can't keep on changing managers, can you, Macca? That's the thing. You know what I mean? And you've got to find that kind of level. You've got to find that level where you say, well, actually, right, okay, we haven't had a great season, but let's stick with them. And there's not enough of that. Yeah,
we need stability in that. We need to buck that trend of the 16-month thing that we were talking about before. We need to try and keep someone long term, and because his goal is to get us into the Premier League and stuff. You can tell, because he's a winner. He is a winner, and I think he is a born winner as well. And I think that we've just got to give him time. And there's no just time. It's just what's needed. But tomorrow, hopefully the lads will go down there, perform, and we'll get the result and travel back to the northeast happy.
We'll come on to the dreaded predictions. How wrong can we be? A little bit later on. So that's Sunderland away to QPR. Newcastle, Steve, home to Brentford. No win in the last 3. Come on.
I mean, this obviously from our perspective, this game's been moved from the Sunday to the Saturday because we're in the Champions League.
Can you say it again?
This game's been moved from Sunday to Saturday because we're in the Champions League.
You're not in the Champions League, are you, Steve?
This game's been moved from Sunday to Saturday because we're in the Champions League. The secret of comedy, lads. Do it in threes. But it's a 5:30 kick-off. It's live on Sky Sports, and we've got to go back to January 2020. We've got to go back to January 2021 for the last time that Newcastle lost 4 successive Premier League games, a run that was extended to 5. It'd be no surprise to hear under Steve Bruce. The team news, obviously we don't have it because Eddie Howe will be doing his press conference in about an hour's time. Emil Krafto and Joe Willock remain sidelined, whilst Sven Botman is doubtful because he missed out on a Dutch call-up in order to work on his fitness. We also have an injury concern over midfielder Sandro Tonali, who withdrew from the Italian squad ahead of Tuesday's game. It was muscle fatigue, so we will wait and see what happens with that. Eddie will probably have a little bit of an update for us later on. Of course, whenever Brentford are in town, we usually expect to come up against an ex-centre-forward. That ex-centre-forward, of course, is Ivan Toney, who remains banned from playing after admitting to illegal betting charges, many of them against his old club, Newcastle. Thomas Frank's side, of course, are unbeaten in all 4 Premier League games this season. They won 3-0 at Fulham. They've had 3 draws against Spurs, Bournemouth and Crystal Palace, and they ended last season with 5 wins out of 6. So to be honest, they're a bit of a form team. For us, I always like to look at the referees and VAR. Well, Craig Pawson's the referee. We haven't had such a bad time under him. VAR is John Brooks though. So it'll be interesting to see whether VAR is switched on or off. The thing about John Brooks though, he's not a big fan of Joe Linton, so any game that he's in charge of with Newcastle, you do have to wonder. When he's refereed games, he's yellow carded Joe Linton in 3 games over the last couple of seasons. So it's an interesting one. But Brentford, they are playing well. Newcastle, of course, had a tough start of the season. I think this is a game Newcastle we're going to have to get something out of the game. We need 3 points really. There's no other result for me other than 3 points. Whether it's a comprehensive performance like we saw against Aston Villa, or whether it's a scrappy game and we score with a goal going in off somebody's backside, I'm not bothered. But we need to get a win this weekend, lads.
And from an image perspective, mate, I'm sorry you failed that one during the week. Your 3 South American internationals flying back by private jet. Is that the way Newcastle do business now?
It's not. Gets around, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. It's not.
When you had to duck off for that dentist the other day, I thought you.
I did, yeah. The jet was.
I could hear the jet firing up in the background.
More like somebody standing outside with an elastic band on a propeller winding it up for me, mate, I'm afraid. But yeah, I mean, look, Almiron, Bruno and Joe Linton having a jump on a private jet is something which modern day footballers have to do, I guess. I mean, the problem with the Brazil game was that it finished late, and they had to come back, in
cattle class.
Yeah, less expensive circumstances, then they certainly wouldn't have got back. So Newcastle using their brains, really getting the lads back as early as possible in the hope that they're going to be all available to play this coming weekend. That was the problem was, of course, that, as I say, the Brazil kickoff was later than everything else. But good to see the lads heading back.
Well handled, by the way. Well handled, mate. I was pulling your leg, but well handled. Yeah.
The big problem we've got. I've said it on the show since the start of the season, though. Since those last 3 games, the midfield's the conundrum. We're mentioning in the headlines at the start of the show that Sean Longstaff may get the opportunity to have a run out at the start of the season, like he should have at the start of the season. He's going to have an opportunity maybe to stake a place now, and it's going to be interesting to see what Eddie Howe does. Elliot Anderson, best performer in pre-season, not getting a look in. Sean Longstaff, a vital part of the midfield last season, not getting a look in. Tonali coming in and the team not really gelling since the Villa game. It's maybe injury is going to change that little bit of formation, and maybe Eddie Howe will stumble on something which he's going to have to stick with. That's sometimes what happens with managers and head coaches. Maybe you can't see the wood for the trees. A change is enforced, and that ends up being the change that changes your fortune. So let's hope that's the case.
If it does go to 4 without a win, or 4 straight losses, I suppose, how much of a concern does that become?
It becomes a big concern when you're travelling away into a European fixture. We've talked about this at the start of the season. That's going to impact on Newcastle's Premier League form. There's no doubt about it. I watched the last episode of the Amazon programme this week, and Dan Ashworth on a Zoom call basically says that every single team that qualifies for Europe the following season has a downward trend in their Premier League performance. It is there's no team hasn't done that. So at the end of the programme, it's a rather downbeaten Zoom meeting where everyone, like, he goes, next season is going to be a downturn in form, and you can see everyone going, and that is what's going to happen. So Newcastle losing to Brentford is unthinkable, because if that happens, we then go to Milan next week and we lose in Milan. Suddenly 3 games becomes 5 games, and you're going into a game against Burnley, which is away from home, and Burnley struggling for form. It becomes a big issue, and again that goes back to it goes back to social media, knee-jerk reactions from supporters, which get blown out of proportion. It goes to those people who aren't the biggest fans of Newcastle on radio stations, TV stations around the world, having a pop and having their say. It goes to influencers within the game who commentate on big programs, who will be saying the knives are getting sharpened, and it gives credence to the stories that Eddie Howe could go to England if Gareth Southgate leaves. So all of those things which have started in an embryonic fashion over the last couple of weeks will start to grow, and those people will be going, yeah, well, I told you so. So the win against Brentford changes things massively. You beat Brentford, no matter how you beat them, then that puts that back in the box for the time being. Newcastle then go to Milan. They'll be unfancied. Going to Milan, people will be saying that's a tough game. If they get beat there, there's no disgrace. They then come back and do the business against Burnley in the Premier League. Things start to look a lot brighter. Newcastle back in the in top 7, top 8. Things change, but that's football. That's football.
Can you believe that Burnley game as well? Wait for it. It's actually a 3 p.m. kickoff on the Saturday, isn't it?
I know. How good is that? How good is that? We don't often get that either. But bearing in mind, you know, the TV can change things at the drop of a hat. So we'll not count our chickens. But yeah, I mean, that is a rare event. And you know, Newcastle. I've got to be honest. Being on TV, it used to be a novelty. Now it becomes a bit of a pain. Do you know what I mean? It does become a bit of a pain. It does become a bit of a pain. But actually, I got it wrong. We've got Sheffield United away, haven't we? Burnley's the last of the 3 of those games. So we've got Sheffield United away, which is the next game. 4:30 on Sky. Manchester City at home in the League Cup. Then we've got Burnley. So fixtures coming thick and fast at St James's. Yeah,
I'm just trying to do the comparison here because I can see your problem, Steve. You know, UEFA Champions League trip to Milan. EFL Champions League Cup trip to Bradford. You know, there is a comparison there, isn't there? With the carrier bag Champions League game that the Borough's facing in a couple of weeks' time. But a quick segue to Rye. So that's Newcastle Borough.
Similarly, the Borough on a private jet down to Bradford as well, just to let you guys know as well. So
from Teesside International Airport. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Carabao Cup is paying for the private jets for the Borough fans and the and the players. It's just, you know, look, we're a rich club. What can I say? On to the Borough this weekend. Obviously, we are away at Ewood Park against Blackburn, a location that last year gave us some fortune in Middlesbrough coming away with a 2-1 victory and a red card to Blackburn with Riley McGree scoring an absolute banger. This was one of Michael Carrick's early games into his tenureship at Middlesbrough last season, and look, we are looking for points, whether it's 1, whether it's 3. Middlesbrough are dead last in the table. We have drawn once in 5 games, and we are needing a quick turn of fortune here and some just to see some sort of life in this season that we can get away from the relegation zone. And bottom of the table, the referee is James Bell, and we will be welcoming a new referee who's actually stepped up from League 2. He's done a couple of championship games already this season, but spent majority of last season in League 2. So congrats to James Bell, the referee, stepping up into the championship. But yeah, looking forward to this one in terms of how this reboot is going to look, I guess you could say, that Michael Carrick has spoken about. He spoke in his presser yesterday, and when he asked about the form and is he worried, he just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Look, the boys are training well, and I'm excited for for a run of football matches now." And he said, just an overall calming essence was portrayed by Michael Carrick.
Well, let's have a listen to him.
Training's been really good. The boys have worked hard. Had a really good balance between getting some good training and getting some good work in, and the boys are also having a little bit of time away, which is important. So of course we're here to win games, and you know that because I'm convinced and believe in the players that much that we keep doing the things we're doing largely, and we keep doing the right things, then we'll be okay. So no, I've quite enjoyed the last couple of weeks actually, and the working with the players and seeing the improvement and looking forward to what's coming up.
He's as relaxed as Mogger, isn't he?
He is, mate, if not more so. And the question that got me was when asked about the run of form, are you worried? He just shrugged his shoulders. He said, "No, I'm not. And he said, "Was the break needed?" And he said, He said the break was nice to let the players go away on holiday for a bit. And I mean, he's so calm and collected is Michael that, you know, nothing seems to faze him. And it doesn't seem to be the boot up the bum sort of, you know, mentality. It seems to be what we're doing is working, and it will change, and the lads are training well. The thing that I do like is now he's had a couple of weeks now to settle in the new lads in Lewis O'Brien, Sam Greenwood, and also Alex Bangura, the left back. I'm really excited to see what those 3 additions can add. And I think obviously Riley McGree, Sammy Silvera stepping away for the Socceroos as well would have done them a world of good just to take him out of the fishbowl. And I guess Riley McGree playing 90 minutes for the Socceroos as well did himself no injustice in showing Michael Carrick that he's ready to go again. So I hope that we can see a different sort of lineup tomorrow at Ewood Park. I expect it to be Obviously, your classic, but I think we'll see the likes of Lewis O'Brien potentially starting. He was a bit of a shining light in that QPR defeat. I hope we see Riley McGree starting as well. I think we will, though. And I think you'll obviously see Latte Lath up front. My interesting point will be who starts at right back. Obviously, Middlesbrough still struggling with the injuries to Tommy Smith and Anthony Jigsteel. Maybe McNair plays there. Obviously, we are struggling without in the right back position and the left back position as well. Funny enough, obviously still struggling since Ryan Giles obviously leaving. Who is going to be our left back? Lucas Angel has looked okay, but he has looked like a little bit shaky at times. But Alex Bangura does look very exciting. Looks like he's got a lot of pace to burn. So I'd be excited to see Alex Bangura line up for his debut for Middlesbrough tomorrow as well. So very, very excited to be welcoming back football. A break for us was not welcomed, I would argue. I'd just rather get back on to football now, get some points on the board and show the league what Middlesbrough are all about.
Will you get points on the board? Let's get into that. We've got 5 minutes left, so we'll start with Borough. Will you get points on the board at Ewood Park?
Yeah, going for a 2-1 victory to the Borough. Exact same turn of results from last season. I think we'll ship a goal in like the classic Middlesbrough, but we'll be able to bring it back and score 2. And I think we'll be victors on the day in an away trip for 2-1 to the Borough. I'm expecting Latte Lath and Riley McGree to score a banger again. So I think Latte Lath will be able to get his shooting boots on as well. The man creates chances and his excitement up front, and I think he's going to start putting them in. It just takes a little bit of time. You can see he's getting himself into the right position. So I think Latte Lath is going to be right up there, and I think Riley McGree will score a banger as well.
Okay. Macca, Steve, thoughts on Borough, what you're expecting from them?
I think Borough will get a 1-0 win tomorrow.
Oh my God.
There you go.
I think Borough's going to draw. I said it earlier. I think Borough will be 1-1. I think it's going to be a tough game for them, but I think they'll stop the rot. I think they'll get they'll get a point, and I think that's something for Carrick to build on. I think he'll be going there with the mindset of not losing, not wanting to lose, and anything else is a bonus. But yeah, it's a really tough fixture for them. I mean, every game's tough in the Championship when you're not playing well, same as the Premier League. But yeah, I'm going for a 1-1 draw for Borough. I've got faith in them getting something and having a half a smile on Rye's face on Monday.
No, we look forward to that. I'll take it. I'll take a draw right now. I'm telling you, that's how worried I am about it. Steve was last to talk. Newcastle. Where's the prediction going?
The prediction is going for a win, but it'll be a narrow win. I think Brentford have got enough to trouble Newcastle. That's the problem. It really depends on who's available. If Botman's fit, that gives us a massive boost at the back. I'm not as concerned about the midfield because, look, you don't become a bad team overnight. And Newcastle proved against Aston Villa what they can do on the day. A demolition job on a team that was up there last season and will be up there again this season in the European chases. So, for me, I think 2-1. I've got a fancy for Isak to get off the mark tomorrow again. He hasn't had the greatest of games in the last couple of weeks. Service has been limited. I think he'll get a bit of service tomorrow, and I've just got a feeling Almiron's going to play well tomorrow and get a goal as well. So I'm going for a 2-1 win. I can see Newcastle falling behind, unfortunately, but I think Newcastle will come back to win 2-1. The crowd's just got to keep behind the team, and I know that should be a given, but certainly over the last couple of weeks, should Newcastle fall behind, that's when the crowd needs to be at its best and getting behind the lads and cheering them and singing them on. And there's too much of this in football stadiums now where you get off to a great start, you have flag displays, everyone's cheering, shouting, screaming, and then as soon as something goes wrong, everyone just says nothing, does nothing, and there's murmurings and whispers and groans and moans, and that kind of atmosphere is not conducive to a good performance. You need to have everybody behind the team, and only parts of the ground, only certain parts of the ground tend to do that. So yeah, it's a bit of a rallying call from me to the supporters, but yeah, I think Newcastle will win tomorrow to get the monkey off their back. They'll win 2-1 tomorrow, and that'll set us up nicely for our trip to Milan on Wednesday.
I think you're getting a point, but Rye, where are you at with Newcastle?
Yeah, I'm actually on board with that. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw is my prediction. We last saw obviously Newcastle-Brentford back in April, where we saw Brentford go down to Newcastle with that David Raya own goal. if anyone can think back to then. But I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I think Brentford are good for goals. I think Newcastle are good for goals, but I'm a bit worried, obviously, about each other's defensive capabilities. And I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
And Newcastle's best friend, the Mackham on the team, Macca?
I think Brentford will win 2-1, and
He's
I think
hoping.
Steve Wraith will get the Newcastle goal.
God, it's like Harry Maguire against Scotland.
Okay, so the voice of reason was from Sunderland, not. Where you going, Macca, with the QPR game?
I think we'll win 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah,
Guys, confidence.
I think it'll be a accomplished performance, and it'll be interesting to see if the legends tonight agree with us as well.
Yeah, good plug. Legends on at 6 o'clock across the Northeast on the Cat, the Red and the Toon, followed by Ian Murter. Been reporting on Northeast football for 38 years, so some good listening tonight. Final words then from the non-Sunderland side on Sunderland. Steve, what are you thinking for Sunderland?
They're going to get whopped 5-0.
Yay!
In all seriousness, it's a tough game. QPR away for anybody. I think I'm going to take Sunderland for a 0-0 down there.
Oh, you're giving them a point. Interesting. And Rye?
Yeah, I'm going for a QPR victory in that one. I think QPR is a tough ground to go to. It's a short, enclosed pitch, and I think it's going to be, tough for Sunderland. I think they're going to try and obviously bleed in their new striker as well. And yeah, I think we're going to see just a big performance from Begovic, and I think it's going to be 1-0 to QPR.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. God, we've agreed on everything. Maybe that's why we're Borough fans. We'll find out whether it's sensible or not, or illogical. Can I just say, if you want to hear the press conferences in full, Michael Carrick, of course, on mfc.co.uk, and Tony Mowbray on safc.com. You can watch the full press conferences on there. Fellas, we're done. We're dusted. That's the week out. We've got football back.
Another week.
Let's look forward to Monday when we can talk footy.
Have a good weekend, lads. How are the lads?
Cheers, boys.
Have a great weekend. Up the Borough.
First Hibs game.
Sorry, Hibs game? No, that's a different radio station you need to be on, mate. Have a good weekend.